And by the way, we should tell you that the 10-year Treasury yield hit session highs, actually hit 3-week highs, the minute that news about the possibility, which has been denied by Treasury, but that Steven Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, is considering dropping tariffs or at least lowering them on China to get a deal done. As soon as that news hit the tape, you saw 3-week highs for this yield, which now stands for the 10-year at 2.74%. Folks, let me just reset the button here. There are two different hourglasses right now. One ticking down on the China trade deal. Actually, it's a truce right now. Come March, it's over, and the president says he will put in new tariffs. And then you've got the one regarding Brexit. There's a new deadline there, but we need to know what our viewers are most concerned about and how both dramas might impact their investments, which leads us to our next guest, the former British ambassador to the U.S., who's dealt with trade on many different levels. We welcome Sir Peter Westmacott, live from London in a Fox Business exclusive. Sir Peter, to the breaking news and the implications at the moment. Treasury's denying it. They say, no, we are not considering dropping tariffs on China just to calm markets and hasten a trade deal. But Wall Street Journal doesn't just pull this out of the air. Is there a possibility that that could be happening behind the scenes?
Well, this is a story on which I haven't got inside information, but it would not surprise me because the way in which the president slapped the additional tariffs on China took a lot of people by surprise. And because of the dependence of a lot of U.S. industry, especially the automobile industry, on imported steel, it has tended to make a lot of U.S. manufactured goods less competitive. So to find a way to de-dramatize the trade relationship with China at a time when China, we keep hearing, would like to have some kind of a deal and does not want a trade war with the United States and is itself looking for ways in which it could improve imports from the United States in this area or that area, it seems to me not impossible. But of course, we have to wait and see whether this is a story that's confirmed. And it's not surprising to see the markets rally a little bit on the back of that because, frankly, nobody has an interest in a trade war between the United States and China.
Well, let's talk about trade and sort of shift this a little bit. If we could pivot to the UK and the situation going on there. You still have markets in Europe down because we don't have clarity on what's going on with Brexit. I will say this, and you've got 40 years of diplomacy under your belt, so I'm really interested in hearing your perspective on this. As the world watches, Theresa May, the Prime Minister, is saying she's now going to go for Brexit Plan B. We don't know what that's going to look like, but already many different parties, including Labour and the Northern Ireland Party, not to mention Scotland, saying we won't even go to the table unless you take a hard Brexit off the table. Is that likely? Because you'd have to change the law to do that, right?
No, you wouldn't have to change the law to do that. What they are saying is that hard Brexit is such a terrible option because it disrupts economy, life, travel, society, energy supplies, flights, driving license, taking your pet dog across the channel. A whole lot of stuff is terribly disrupted if we have a hard Brexit. And markets, I think, at that point would go sharply down. So the other political leaders whom Theresa May is trying to reach out to at the moment to see whether there's some sort of conciliation that can be achieved between different parties on some form of Brexit deal, they are saying, well, let's remove that really hard option. Now, there are different mechanisms that you can use to remove it. On the one hand, you can say politically the government won't go along with it. Okay. But of course, as the experts know, the default position, if there is no agreement on another deal, is that we do crash out with no deal on Brexit on the 29th of March. So there's a number of different things that can be done, and there is one particular motion which has been tabled by a couple of Conservative MPs, which would have the practical effect of ensuring that we could not crash out, because it would mean that we would withdraw from the Article 50 process in the event that there wasn't an agreement on something else.
May I ask you this, Sir Peter, because looking toward our viewers and their interests, there seems to be real interest on behalf of Brexiteers, and certainly here in the United States, for a bilateral UK-US trade deal. But if they are beholden, if the United Kingdom is beholden to the European Union in some way, shape or form, and there's a Brexit with a deal for the EU to be happy, does that impede the chances of a clear bilateral trade deal between the UK and the US?
Absolutely it does, because it is only if you crash out, as we say, and you sever all your trading links with the European Union, which exists at the moment, the single market, the customs union, only if that goes is the United Kingdom free to negotiate its own free trade agreements with other countries, notably the United States. So that would be a problem. On the other hand, I would say that this is something which has been dressed up as being a huge, shiny objective, which sounds great, but in practice, it would not be the answer to all of our prayers. We already have more business and investment in the United States than any other country in the world. And if we were left to negotiate a free trade agreement all by ourselves, it would take a very long time, and there would be a lot of very difficult things like financial services and agriculture and beef hormones and all that kind of stuff, which would be very difficult to negotiate. In practice, our trading links, our investment links with the United States are probably better served by the United Kingdom staying inside the EU and being part of the European Union negotiating bloc, which does a free trade agreement with the United States. That's what we were trying to negotiate a couple of years back.
Well, we're all waiting and watching because we know that these headlines have tended to move our markets. Sir Peter, thank you very much for joining us.